Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I just pushed record again, so.
The little red light's on, Karen.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
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 So no dirty words.
I can edit you out.
No. Yeah.
I'm always saying dirty words.
Yeah.
I have a potty mouth. I'm an old sailor. Orion. Mark. Good. Wish I had a mint. Just had a piece of string cheese and ooh. Quickly going to have a belly. Oh, it's early. Gotta do something. Ooh, cinnamon. All right, 9 o'clock. We got a good group here. Thanks for coming, everybody. Sorry, let's choose it. Let's give it just another minute, just to be sure, because we're right on time. We're doing good, but we could just give another minute. I have a lot of windows open here. I'm gonna expand you guys. Oh, okay. Oh, Amanda has a note in the chat. Amanda, Sandra Willicor is here today, so she will be able to address this.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, that's why we like having our providers here because they know what's going on. Okay, Sarah, I got your message. You have to leave at 10. Yeah, I'm hoping we can be done by then, but we'll see. I'm just wanted to always make sure we have enough time. There are things going on here, so this is good. I'm gonna squeeze this.
Sandra hasn't joined our meeting yet, Karen, so.
Yeah, I thought she did because I saw she's doing the Fireflies AI note taker.
Oh, yep, okay.
Um, so I'm not sure. I don't see her on the list either, but she must be like under.
She might have her computer taking notes though.
Okay. Well, she's not up for a little ways, so I tried to put the timing on here, but you never know. But and I know with MnDOT, actually, I'm not sure if Sue's coming on, but I know Davin can't make it. Ted is here, so he might be able to give us a little update. I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but maybe you have something on the top of your head, Ted. So, but we'll wait and get to that. So I'm gonna call. No, I'm gonna. I get a thumbs up. Great, thank you. I'm going to do the right thing here and ask Tim to call the meeting to order.
Good morning. Calling the meeting to order at 9:03 a.m. Back to you, Karen.
Thank you. At this point, I want to again thank everybody for being here, but I also would like to do little short introductions, and then toward the end, we can do updates as to or any questions or anything like that. We have a discussion toward the end, unless there's something burning. And we did get that one question in the comments from Amanda. Much appreciated. So, I will try to work my way through the screen here, but as people pop on, everybody moves. So hang in there with me. Uh, so I'm Karen Onan. I work with Michelle Thomas, and we are working on the East Central Regional Transportation Coordinating Council. And yeah, we've been doing this since 2018. And I think this will be an interesting meeting. We have a good number of people here that have some opportunity to speak up. So chime in. So I've got Denise next to me. Or actually, let me ask Michelle, do you want to say any more?
Oh, just good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, Denise, you're up.
Good morning. I'm Denise Stewart from Lakes and Pines Community Action Council.
Thanks for being here, Denise. Orion, what a beautiful name. Welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. My name is Orion DeFranco. I serve as the Outreach Director for Northeast Minnesota in Senator Tina Smith's office. Was made aware of this organization, the very shortly upcoming meeting when I met with Denise a few days ago. So really excited to be here and kind of hear specifically about some of the issues impacting all of the providers and folks participating here in the region. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. I wanted to quick mention too, if everybody could put your name and contact information like your email, maybe phone number in the chat. That way people can save, I think you can save this chat, but I can save the chat and send it out if folks want to get in touch with one another. It's a nice little way of networking. So Tim, I have you up in the corner here.
Good morning again, Tim Schmutzer. I work with Phase Industries. We're a nonprofit in East Central and Southwest Minnesota, supporting students and adults with disabilities in employment, day supports, and transportation.
Excellent. Thank you, Tim. Natalie.
Good morning. I am Natalie Mathewson. I'm the Community Development Supervisor with Central Minnesota Council on Aging. We are one of the 6 regional area agencies on aging in Minnesota.
Thanks, Natalie. Thomas Zimmerman, you're a new face.
Yeah, so Thomas Zimmerman, I just started last month at Region 5 Development Commission. And I'll be the new RTCC mobility manager there. So I'm just attending some of the neighboring meetings and seeing what's going on.
Glad to have you. This is great.
Thanks.
If you have any questions along the way, you're welcome to address either Michelle or I, and we'll help you through the beginning phases of all of this if you need it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Amanda.
Good morning. I'm Amanda Stevenson. I'm the Region 70 Adult Mental Health Initiative Planner.
Welcome. Thanks,
Thank you.
Amanda. Hi, Bob.
Hey, hi, Karen. Hi, everybody. Bob Voss. I'm the Executive Director at the East Central Regional Development Commission, the home for the RTCC, right, Karen? So, yeah.
Yep. They're our umbrella organization.
Yeah,
Thank
glad
you.
to have it.
Yeah, me too. Helen, can you pop on? I know she's remote.
I am. I'm here. I'm Helen. I'm with Kanabec County Timber Trails.
Welcome, Helen. Glad you're here. Jeanette. You're on mute, Jeanette. I can't see you either. We can come back to Jeanette. If you get the opportunity to pop on, Jeanette, just let us know. She's with the ECRDC. She's on our board. Bob, help me out here. Is she Pine County Public Interest?
That's right. Yeah,
Interest, yep.
Jeanette's the Pine County Public Interest Rep to our board and also the liaison to the RTCC.
I think
Yep.
I think she got her mute button off. Nope, it's back
Okay.
on.
All right.
Sarah.
Hi, Jeanette.
Bob, can you just introduce me as well?
Oh, you
Oh, come
always make
on,
me
Sarah.
work, Sarah. You know?
I'm Sarah Triver. I work for the Mille Lacs Corporate Ventures, which is the business arm of the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe. But I also am on the RDC board, which I think I just got reappointed as a representative of the Kanabec County Public
Right.
Interest.
Thanks, Sarah. Glad to have you in both places or all places. You wear many hats. Okay, so let's see. Now everybody's shifted. Sandra. Sandra. Okay, let's move on to Mark.
Hi, everybody. Mark Schimmerhorn in Oka County Transit.
You're in the dark. Welcome, Mark. Nice to have you here. I couldn't see him. Monique Mendyke, how are you?
Good morning. I
Morning.
apologize. I do not have a working video cam on this used computer that they issued me. So, anywho, I'm Monique Mendyke, and I work with AmeriCorps Seniors RSVP Volunteer Program, which covers 11 counties. I take care of all of East Central Minnesota and part of Hennepin County as well.
Great, Monique. Good to have you here. Thank you. Ted. Good morning, Ted.
Good morning. I'm Ted Nelson. I'm with Office of Transit Act Transit with MnDOT, and I cover Northwest Minnesota tri-caps in your area.
Thank you. And Michael Darger.
Good morning. Michael Darger, University of Minnesota Extension, Community Development, and I'm involved with the study that we're doing with the Empowering Small Minnesota Communities project.
Yeah, it seems like I just saw you yesterday.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, we're looking at some more snow next week. Did you see that?
Yep.
Ugh. I think I can't move this thing on my screen here. Somebody just came in. Oh, Jessica, hi.
Hello.
We're just doing
Apologies for being a little
intros.
late. Okay, perfect.
You're
I'm
up.
Jessica. I'm Jessica with Lighthouse Child and Family Services. Also part of the team for the Empowering Small Minnesota Communities project, and just excited to connect here and keep learning together and working together. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody who just came on and didn't get the message, please put your information in the chat box so that anybody can then pick that up if they want to contact you. And Anne just came on.
Hi, sorry for my lateness.
Will you do a little introduction and then put your info in the chat?
I certainly can. Ann Walter from the Anoka County Transit Office. I oversee our TransitLink service, and then I'll get my information in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have one more coming in, Rebecca Perotti from Central Minnesota Jobs and Training. Rebecca, can you do a little intro? Let me throw you right under the bus here.
Hello, good morning. Sorry, I'm running a little bit late to join, but I'm a business service coordinator with Central Minnesota Jobs and Training, and had the chance to be part of the focus group a couple weeks ago.
Excellent. Thanks, Rebecca. Will you put your info in the chat, please?
Sure.
All right. I think we've got everybody, except I did not hear from Sandra. Sandra Wheelacore is from Arrowhead Transit, and I see Firefly's AI note taker. And so I don't know what's happening there, but Sandra, when you can chime in, please do. I have you on the agenda here coming up shortly.
Did Natalie get to introduce herself?
Yep.
Okay.
I have a hand right. Okay, that's just my hand. Sorry. Let me get rid of some things here. I've got too much on my screen. All right, moving on. So I know Davin's not here and Sue's not here. Tom's not here. Ted, I don't know if you're able to give us some little update on what you've got going on over in the Tri-Cap area or Mille Lacs
Yeah,
County.
yeah. So I'll just give you a little update on transit overall in the state, and then talk a little bit. But anyway, so systems are receiving their 2020 through 2023 buses. They're starting to come in. There's been quite a bit of issues just with quality control. And so they're working through some of that issues with the vendors and whatnot, working on warranties. Some of the systems are working on transferring buses over to other systems that have been replaced. So that they're not running like 300,000-mile buses, they're running 200,000-mile buses instead, which isn't a great thing, but it's better than the alternative, I guess. So the systems are really working well together with that, and we've been encouraging that. Operating applications have all been submitted across the state. The local match is still going to be 5% for 2025. There was a minimum increase of the 5% across the board for everyone. And there was a couple systems, I believe Tri-Cap was one of them, that had a little bit higher increase to help them with their deficit from last year. Applications for facilities this year, we had 8 applications that were submitted. 3 of them were selected, not because of, well, some because of funds, but also a lot because of the scoring. They had to score a minimum of 60 on the scoring worksheet in order for them to qualify. So MnDOT will be working on doing some training for the systems on writing applications and stuff. So that's a good thing. As we're pursuing more bond dollars and additional dollars through federal grants and stuff, some of the projects have been able to move up or be added to the list for projects coming up, which is always good. We have facility projects in our area, and Tri-Cap probably has one of the largest facility projects that's going right now. They're building a new building on their current location, and it's going to kind of, I think it's an L shape kind of in their driveway. They've had, I didn't see anybody here from Tri-Cap, but they've had some roadblocks. They actually hit an aquifer and had to dewater, which I never knew was a thing. So that put a little bit of a halt on that. I believe they have the foundation and stuff, and the plan is to have that all done so they can have the frame up and work inside during the winter. So hopefully they get that done by next week, I guess, because someone said snow's coming. Let's see. We're getting ready for the final push this year, so the systems are very busy doing comprehensive review, audits, the reporting requirements, and then just hiring and trying to provide the day-to-day service. The TPMs, which is what my position is, Transportation Program Manager, are having their quarterly meetings. We have quarterly meetings with our transit directors. So in my situation, I have 6 transit directors that came to Bemidji yesterday for a meeting, and we just sat down and talked about issues and stuff that was coming up for the end of the year as far as the reports and that kind of thing. So I don't have a lot for RTCC because I'm not like deep into that. But I thank you guys for the work that you do, and you have a pretty large group here, so that's really awesome and encouraging. So.
Well, just wanted to let you know, Ted, we were planning on Rhonda and Tammy coming to the meeting. I'd actually heard from Barbara Willard, and she said they were coming, so maybe they will come. It's interesting. Where will that facility be put? That Tri-Cap is that going to be in St. Cloud or?
Yep, it's in Wake Park. It's
Wake
at their main facility location. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm trying to think of which way the current one runs, I think, east-west, and this one's going to go north-south. And then there's future plans for the old facility to kind of be transferred into offices is what they're planning on their 4-year capital plan. So.
Okay. Does anybody
Yeah,
have any? Yeah,
I don't
go
know
on.
that I think they did a groundbreaking or something. So I've only been here since June. And,
You're doing
and so
great.
so I'm playing catch up too. I actually ran Prairie 5 transit system down in Southwest Minnesota and I just got this job in June. So I'm trying to catch up on everything, but yeah, I mean, their facility project is moving forward. And they're hoping to have it done within, you know, the next few months and stuff, barring weather and whatnot. But yeah, they went in and they packed all the dirt and everything like that. And then the next day it flooded out and found out that they hit the aquifer and had to dig trenches. And I don't know what they do for dewatering, but it was a process. It was, at least a week-long process, if not longer. So of pumping
Yeesh.
off stuff. So
Yeah,
there's always something that seems like,
it's like the Beverly Hillbillies, you know, they struck gold.
yeah.
No, or struck oil.
Yeah, that would have been
Yeah.
nice. They could have built a bigger facility then.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, you know, is that going to mean that there's going to be, you know, I mean, a bigger facility is fantastic, and I didn't know about this, but uh, uh, but we're always looking for how it can improve transportation in Mille Lacs County,
Yeah, for sure.
um, but let's see if we get Rhonda or Tammy on the meeting at some point here too.
Yeah, I know that there's some facility improvement stuff that they're talking about too, and they're currently working on like their long range plan and that kind of stuff too. So
Good.
they would definitely have a lot more information than I would at this point. So
Much appreciated, Ted.
yep, thank you.
Mike just popped on. Mike, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute there. Mike Moylan, and Director of Planning and Project Management for the Mille Lacs Band. Good morning, everybody.
Thanks, Mike. Good to have you. Oh, and then would you put your contact information in the chat so that if anybody wants to contact you after the meeting, they have your info. Okay? So I think we should probably move on and talk to those providers and actually I'd like to have Mark and Ann be able to chime in as well. So we'll put them toward the end, one or the other, or either, as they are involved with providers, a provider. So if you want to kind of get your thoughts in order before you come on. I know we don't have um, anybody here from Jefferson Lines, but Timber Trails, glad to have Helen on. Would you be able to give us a little update, Helen?
Sure. It's that time of the year. We have received our MnDOT grant and it is all executed, which is always a nice checkbox. So things are going well. We did get a new bus and like Ted said, we've been really lucky. We've not had any quality issues or nothing more than just a few things that our operations supervisor was able to take care of, just some bolts and some bushings around some lines that should have been done a little better. So we're very grateful. Our new bus is in the fleet and it's working. We transferred our the bus that we disposed of out of MnDOT. We have retained as a county vehicle, and we're going to use it when it's needed to provide non-public transit bus service in the county. Right now, what that looks like is some of the non-major holidays when like the Friday after Thanksgiving, dialysis still needs to run. Some people can only get to dialysis with the bus. And so we're working on some programs. It's kind of a skeleton thing we got going right now, and it's not funded by MnDOT. So it's not like we're going to be operating on days when the county is closed. It's just that we're putting a little something out there to try and help. The next biggest thing that we've got going is that South Country Health Alliance will no longer be the primary managed care provider in Kanabec County effective the first of the year. And so we'll be working with the other healthcare providers, Blue Cross Blue Shield, UCare, Medica, come to mind. And that'll be a switch, working with different providers. South Country has always been really good to work for, and I'm a little sad that they're not our choice anymore. That was a decision made by the county board, and there was good reasons for what they did, I'm sure. So, but South Country was a good provider, and so we'll be building relationships. I think the Blues will probably be coming in pretty heavy. And UCare is going to have some for sure. So we'll just be getting contracts in place or updated with those and roll it out. Our volunteer driver base is small and getting smaller. We have 4 and 2 that are going to be retiring. So we'll have 2 volunteer drivers. We are working on a plan to do some. This is really, really early, so I don't want to get anybody's hopes up or anything, but and we've been talking about it for years, but we're working on a plan on maybe having some paid drivers running in what used to be a volunteer driver position. There's nothing set yet at all, but we are in some planning stages because the loss of the volunteer drivers. So that's where we're at. And we don't want snow.
Well, it's coming. I know. And if it hits on Thursday, it's going to be another deja vu for Michael and Frank. Well, Frank's not coming up, but Michael. Well, we'll deal with that. Sounds like good things are happening, Helen, but Kathy Bursey's going to have her hands full with the switch over with the insurance, contracts.
We've known since the first of the year, January of 2024, that was going to happen. So there have been things happening all along. I know they've had some meetings with different people, and DHS has notified folks. So it shouldn't come as a big surprise, but it's just it's finding the new way, the new normal.
All right. Well, I'm anxious to hear about your new project with volunteer drivers, not volunteer drivers. So let's stay in touch.
It goes.
Yeah, so I'd like to kind of get a better handle on what that's about.
Helen, can you tell us anything about how Beyond Timber Trails is doing?
Oh, sure. Beyond Timber Trails has just recently kind of bumped up a little bit. We kind of hit a couple of people who are using it pretty consistently. I personally haven't heard yet if there is continued funding into 2025, and Kathy is away at some meetings here today. So, we're kind of hoping that there's going to be some funding, and that because the 2 gals that we have using it now are pretty consistent users, and there's not any foreseeable change in their future that they won't need it. So it would sure be nice to see that program carry on. So we've got some riders, we're getting some rides placed. Got some energy going there.
Yeah, it takes time for the word to get out, but those 2 gals will tell 2 more people and 2 more. And it was a commercial or something. Remember that? So excellent. Yeah. Well, good things. Thanks, Helen.
You bet.
Frank just popped on. Frank, can you give a little intro and then put your information in the chat box, please? Oh, there you are.
Sure. Hello. Frank Dauma, researcher with the Humphrey School of Public Affairs at the University of Minnesota. I'm associated with the ESMC project that I'll be talking about later. Apologize for having to join late, but and then just information is name, rank, and serial number, Karen.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Thank you.
Yep, thank
Much
you.
appreciated. So Sandra, I don't know if you can hear us, but would you, if you can, would you like to pop on and talk a little bit about Arrowhead Transit? I might try to text her, send her an email, or Michelle, maybe you could send her a quick little email and see if she can come on.
I sure will.
Thank you. In the meantime, so we don't have anybody here from TriCap. Like I said, I expected Rhonda or Tammy to come on, but maybe they're going to be running late. Hopeful. They're from TriCap. One, Tammy's volunteer driver program, and Rhonda's with the public transit. So let's talk to Mark or Ann or both of you. Would you like to just tell us what's happening in Anoka County? And what
Sure.
maybe
So,
you want to even bring up the meeting that we had with Brandon too, if you want to.
sure. I think Ann will talk about that, but I'll just talk about, yeah, I'll echo you guys' concerns with the fleet replacement. We actually aren't getting ours till the spring, but in the garage at Transit Team, they handle Metro Mobility as well, one of the contracts, as well as Hennepin County Transit Link, and we have lots of issues with vehicles having to be sent back and worked up before they can hit the road. So, or not sent back, but just sent for warranty work locally. So I know they're it's a little frustrating when you, because they do have high mileage buses, and thought the relief was coming, but and so that replacement's handled in the metro here through the Met Council side. So yeah, so anyway, they're working through those, so we'll see what we get in the spring. And I see it says volunteers. So yeah, we just in October we have our annual volunteer recognition luncheon. So we brought brought drivers in and provided a served meal with the program. We present the stats, recognized milestones for drivers that have been there 5, 10, 15. We actually had a 20-year driver this year and a couple 5s. So it's always fun to do that. And then recognize the drivers that had the most hours, miles, and trips. So it's a nice program and a meal, gets everybody together, which they certainly appreciate. Our commissioners are very supportive of that program. So we always look forward to that. Also on the volunteer side, we are going through a software replacement. We have an in-house software right now that we use to manage the program, and it's a web-based program. It's kind of evolved from an Access database to now the web-based SQL program. And so we've went out and are going to have that replaced with a off-the-shelf option from a vendor. They're actually called Assisted Rides. And yeah, so we'll be going through that startup later this year and into next, working on the contract right now. So yeah, so that's
Mark, will that be able to hook into a MOS program if the MOS program comes along?
it's been written, it was in the contract that the with Elliot's interoperability, the data, that it should be available for that. So we'll see how that all works down the road, but certainly wrote that into the contract to make sure that's an option.
It's a big deal. What we're talking about is being able to, pick your ride up or deal with your ride on your phone.
Yeah, we're initially get the drivers trained up on how to use it. We understand they adopt it a lot quicker than the public, but want to eliminate lots of the manual entry that goes with that program. So we'll just, if anything will help to start out as far as eliminating that manual entry, and then we'll see where we can go from there.
Excellent. Thanks, Mark.
Yep.
Ann, did you want to talk at all about the meeting with Brandon?
I can, and then if oh, here, one second. I can, and then if I'm missing anything, Karen, that you were at that meeting, just help fill in the pieces there. But so we're continuing to try to coordinate with our outside borders with Anoka County with providers so that people can come south into the county or north. We already have some kind of east-west parameters set up with Sherburne County. It's not being utilized, but we have it in place in case there is the need. So our last meeting, we tasked ourselves with following up and deciding or coming up with the transfer site. So each of us are going to reach out to different businesses, whether it be like a grocery store or a convenience store, to see if we can actually use that business for a transfer site. And so myself, I'm tasking with some Anoka County transfer site with businesses. And then, so we'll come back in December to say yes or no that the businesses said we could utilize. And then the details that we agreed upon at our last meeting, which is not policy, but we agreed that the fares, there'd just be the fare for each trip. So if someone was coming into Anoka County, the first bus, they'll pay the first bus and not pay the second bus, and then vice versa when leaving Anoka County, because our fare systems are not integrated. And then let's see, the third was that, well, maybe the second one, sorry, I'm out of place here, but each passenger will have to call the different services on their own. We previously have experience with this at Anoka County between Transit Link and Metro Mobility, and the paperwork, the coordination behind having one reservationist handle all of the booking is difficult. It makes for mistakes that can happen. So currently, how TransitLink and Metro Mobility handle transfers is the passenger has to call each provider on their own. And we plan, we decided that at our last meeting, that's how we would move forward at this time. And then we did talk about how this would be marketed. I don't know on the Anoka County or Met Council side if it would be marketed or not. I still think we have to come up with a plan as far as not leaving passengers stranded. I don't know that we decided that at our last meeting, Karen. So looking through here, I'm not sure that the operating parameters, that's the other thing that I didn't discuss, is that our vehicles operate within a 30-minute window. So whatever that each provider's service parameters are as far as scheduling window, canceling, that the passenger will have to follow the same parameters on those services. And so then at our next meeting, we'll talk about those transfer sites, and then we will each set up our own meeting with those that really make those decision makers. So for our side, it's the Met Council. So we'll kind of run through what we've discussed and then see what their input is, since they are the decision makers. And then we'll come back to a final meeting. And I believe that we'll have everybody involved, Karen, if I'm correct on that. So we have, each one of us really has at least 3 meetings. The next one is together as the coordination team, I guess, and then going back to our powers that be, and then come back one last final time to kind of hash out any differences we might have. Does that make sense? And I guess one thing we did decide that maybe isn't pertinent to this group, but I did have some passengers that were coming from Southern Forest Lake into Anoka County, and they were asking to be picked up at a motel. And so we had some rides that were booked there because that part of Forest Lake does fall within our our buffer area into another county. But in the group, as we were talking, this is really not probably the a good fit for a transfer site, just based on its location, maybe access, and just, so we've decided not to use this particular motel as a transfer site, and we'll move forward with what we come back with at our next meeting.
This is another case for why having the information on your phone would be so nice, so you could see where that bus is while you're waiting for it. But that's in the future, but it's coming.
Well, and just to provide a little input on that, so the Met Council, with our TransitLink service, we use Metro Mobility, or we use Trapeze for our scheduling, routing, and Metro Mobility has had online the access for customers to schedule rides, cancel rides, check on their rides. So they've already had that technology and we're using it. With TransitLink, it's different because our service isn't the same. We share the same database, but our service is only available where fixed route buses do not operate. And so it's taken us longer to get online to use that technology, just based on how trips are booked, because we can't duplicate regular route bus service. So we only recently came online with that technology with TransitLink maybe a month and a half ago. And so passengers can check their rides, they can cancel rides. They will actually see what I see when I look in Trapeze as far as routing and time. So big picture, we all want this for our passengers, for our service. But I feel like the Met Council is pretty progressive in the technology, with the resources that they have. And we only just came online with that with TransitLink. So I don't think we should, beat ourselves up about it that we don't have it. And we really have to have the right things in place for it to work properly. So I just thought I would share that extra information.
Very smart. Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I've got my marching orders to reach out to Coborn's in Isanti County, and I do have a name of a woman that I'm going to be talking to, and Michelle and I may be going down there to see, because that may be a nice location for a transfer station to get down into the Twin Cities, into Anoka County. So yeah, so we're working on it. It's
Karen,
been, yeah, go ahead.
Can you let me know when you and Michelle do plan to go? Because I'd like to meet you there and just kind of, assess the transfer site as well, just so we're all on the same page. And
I think it's a great idea. Yeah.
Okay. So keep me posted on that, please.
Will do.
Thank you.
Mhm. Does anybody have any questions about what's going on here?
I have a question. As you guys are kind of determining who you're going to connect with, like for example, Colburn's and Isanti, are you reaching out to maybe local chambers or like the city of Isanti, things like that, to see if they have suggestions, knowing where more people maybe at Coburn's totally makes sense, right? And Isanti, it's right on 65, things like that. But I'm just wondering how you are determining where you're going. Are you reaching out to some of like the cities and the chamber and things like that?
We have not at this point, but when we've spoken with Arrowhead, Brandon has said that they do go to Colborn's. There's another location. What was the name of that, Michelle? It was a corner or something, Corners.
Cooper's Corner
Cooper's
is what
Corner.
I'm,
Mhm.
yeah, that's the
Yeah.
business that I'm going to reach out to in Anoka County.
Okay. So we want to make it as convenient as possible for the service provider and go somewhere that they would normally stop at. And I think that's how we got to Colborn's. But Colborn's is up 65, I think 7 miles from the border of Anoka County. So I mean, there's going to be some traveling into Isanti County by Anoka County Transit Link. And that's usually not done, but we want to be able to bypass some of these border issues. So that's why we have to get all this permission. And the same thing with Arrowhead if they go down into Anoka County. So it's new territory. That's pretty exciting. So yeah, but I don't know whether Coborn's is going to go for it or not. They're going to get a bus in there periodically in their parking lot. So
If I can just add, Karen, so there were other businesses such as libraries that we discussed about using as transfer sites. What we've found in Anoka County working with Metro Mobility that like a Cub Foods is a transfer site because of the hours that it's open. Someone could use the restroom. It's a safe place to wait. So that's part of the reason that I suggested using Isanti County with the Coburns, because we do have this, relationship that we have with different groceries in Anoka County with the Transit Link and Metro Mobility. And it happens to be the grocery stores also are on our fixed route buses. So they're used to having passengers maybe waiting to catch a bus. So that's kind of the background for my suggestion on using the Coburns in Isanti. And just for the big picture that Transit Link can travel 2 miles outside of our service area. So we can travel 2 miles in to Isanti County, though it is outside the 7-county metro area. However, it has to be to a business. And unfortunately, there isn't a business that makes sense as a transfer site that falls within that 2 mile buffer. So really going from the edge of our 2 mile buffer outside of Anoka County to that Coburns and Isanti is technically like 5 miles. So that's kind of how I would, sell that to my project administrator at the Met Council. This is an additional 5 miles so I just kind of wanted to throw that out there as well. The logic behind some of that.
And it's a guaranteed ride because you're not going there unless there's somebody there to pick it up. So
Exactly. Something has to be scheduled. We're not just gonna show up to see if someone might want to use it.
quite exciting. It's been something we've been wanting to do for a long time. So yay. Just to make it clear to everybody who does not realize, we have 3 providers in our region, Arrowhead, Timber Trails, and TriCap, and they don't connect with one another. And they also don't connect with the other counties down in Anoka County and Washington County. So you can't get down into the Twin Cities. So this is what we're trying to do, is get people to be able to go where they need to go. All right. Did you hear anything back from Sandra, Michelle? No, shoot. Okay. Well, so we're not going to get an update from TriCap or Arrowhead, which is disappointing. Actually, I can email your question, Amanda, to Sandra and find out more about that for you, because that is a good question.
I included it in my email to her.
Oh, so smart. Thank you.
Yeah, I would really, really appreciate some more information, because they're telling riders and they're handing out new brochures, but neither the Chisago County supervisor nor myself I was not aware of this change. And so I was hoping to gain some insight today.
Yeah.
So thanks for following up.
Yeah, we will. All right, well, I'm just going to quickly, because we're getting off time here a little bit, but Michelle and I have been doing some outreach events. We went to a Chisago Michelle did the Chisago Agewell Expo and had over 400 attendees and 68 organizations were pre-registered as vendors. And then we also, Michelle and I went up to Duluth for our St. Louis County Health and Human Services Conference. There were 2,500 participants and vendors there. So we were able to kind of just spread the word out about what we're doing. And we were there basically representing MnDOT. So we were also there with Arrowhead Transit because they're right there. It's really convenient for them to be able to hand out information about their RTCC. But we also had our East Central directories there as well. So that was good. And then I'm going to just move on here to the Empowering Small Minnesota Communities program. We held our first of 3 in-person focus group meetings on Halloween in the snow. They were all in the meeting room at the office and didn't know what was going on until they came out to use the restroom or whatever. And then as snow is just piling up, it was so funny. Natalie comes out, she's like, "Oh my God, what's going on out here?" Anyway, so Natalie and Tim and Rebecca, Don Beesman from Lakes and Pines was there, Farah Gajowski from Kanabec County Community Health was there, and Molly Carlson was there from Family Pathways. And before I ask you to maybe make any comments that you'd like to make about the focus group, I'm also going to mention that we just had a focus group meeting yesterday with riders and would-be riders. And Michael and Frank are here to talk about that. And then on November 21st, when our big next snowstorm is supposed to happen, we have our service provider focus group meeting. That's going to be interesting. So really interesting. So not going to be a very big meeting, but it'll be a really good meeting, I believe. So I wish I could be on a fly on the wall in that room, but we're not allowed. So that's okay. We'll hear about it later from Frank and Michael with the results. But in the meantime, Tim or Natalie or Rebecca, any comments about the focus group meeting you'd like to make?
Before I make comments, because we're in the middle of focus group research, I'm not sure how much we can and should say, Frank and Mike.
Well, I guess the thing I'd say is that we shouldn't talk about any riders. I mean, it sounds like we're having 3 groups with people who are either transportation providers or they're people like you, Natalie. And so I think those are people who go to meetings about transportation as part of their job. And so we can kind of out them. You know, that's kind of what Karen's suggesting here. You know, like if you guys want to talk, you can talk. But let's not name any people who are in the groups about riders, because we do assure them that this is confidential and they can say what they really think. And that's so, you know, some of the things they say might not be something other people on this call want to hear. But that's the point of a focus group, is to really get in depth, you know, good, bad, ugly, and no opinions are wrong in a focus group.
Thank you.
Yep.
And I think, you know, Natalie does have a point that we haven't heard from all sides yet. And so while we're picking up some themes and so forth, we're not going to mention those at this point. They have given us some thoughts that we will follow up with on the provider side on the 21st. That's why that meeting is so critical, because the providers are going to be the ones who will know why things are the way they are. And maybe where the opportunities are, if there were additional resources, things like that. So we're really looking forward to getting that information. But the participation has been good. Should mention that this project is actually connected to one that was also sponsored by Lighthouse Family Services over in Mille Lacs County. So we're doing actually 6 groups throughout the 2-county area there. Like I said, the participation has been good. Lots of lively discussion. We're getting some really good insights, I think, and you know, look forward to being able to start processing the data. And sometime in 2025, we will start to have been able to work out some initial or articulate some initial thoughts and so forth. And once we've gotten through winter, we'll be back up to kind of present our initial findings and get further reaction. But yeah, the providers group is going to be really critical. I unfortunately have another really critical meeting at that same time, but Michael will be there and we'll have a student there to do the recording who's worked on similar projects. Our partners in the engineering school that are looking at this more quantitatively are also going to be paying attention to that. So really valuable information that we're looking to get out of that group.
Yeah, let me add in, Frank. I'm looking at, first I wanted to say Jessica, over in Mille Lacs side, and Karen and Michelle on the Kennebec side are doing a fantastic job of recruiting and getting the rooms and getting the food, all the things we need for these humans so they'll relax and open up. And so it's been a successful so far. I'm really pleased at the roster you have, Karen and Michelle, for the transportation service providers for next Thursday. It seems like you got you got Timber Trails, Arrowhead, and TriCap, plus you have Anoka County, and you have Jefferson lines. If they all come, and if the snow doesn't dissuade anyone, hopefully it's not snowing too bad. I'm looking for snow for skiing, but like for these transportation things, it'd be nice to snow on another day. But it would be nice to have some of these, I don't know what you call them, medical ride providers, taxi cabs. We don't have any, it doesn't look like we have any of them signed up. It would be nice to have some of the room. I know you're trying hard, Karen and Michelle. Just would be nice if we could get some of those like non-big, I don't know what you call the
NEMT.
fish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
non-emergency medical transportation. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be a
We
bonus.
have extended invitations, so.
And we may get somebody from Attaboy's Taxi who does NEMT rides, but not a confirmation. Yeah.
Sure.
And I don't know, Jessica, if you have any way of kind of needling anybody for
Like
us.
Shootran, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can reach out again. Yep, I've been making some contacts and reaching out, and so I can do kind of the last minute pokes to see. And I know they're trying to run the everyday stuff. So I think that's the feedback we've gotten in the past. So we are giving it our all, that's for sure. So,
That's fantastic. And I just sent you an email, Jessica, about Onamia,
Yes.
our rider group in Onamia for Monday. So thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Good stuff.
Karen or Frank or Michael, we have a pretty good sized group here today. Would one of you be able to give some context around the project itself and what we should expect as far as what's the end product and what are the hopeful or intended implications of that?
Sure, I can do that, and Karen can correct as she and Jessica were the ones who submitted the project proposals, and we responded. But essentially, this is more work to try to develop ideas for addressing some of the transit and transportation gaps in the East Central Minnesota area. We're approaching that from both qualitative and quantitative perspectives. Michael and I are doing the qualitative side, hosting these focus groups, which includes riders, stakeholders, and partners, who we term as folks who their job does not include transportation in their as part of their mission statement or part of their PD, but in order to do what's in their mission statement or PD, they do transportation, and then the transit providers themselves. This gives us kind of just as much of a holistic picture as outsiders, as we coming in as outsiders can get in terms of what's working and what's not. Also some insight in terms of just how things are working. Then we also have Ali Rezakani, who's a faculty member in the engineering school here, whose specialty is travel behavior, trip planning, those sorts of things. And he and his students are collecting information about the current operations, trying to understand what trips are not being made because the operations aren't there. And they are working to see if they can come up with, based upon all this data, some ideas for additional services as well. So the proposed the outcomes are, we'll be tossing out ideas, some of which some of you will have heard of before, I'm sure. Some of which maybe will be new because we've just been able to pull them, to take the time to pull them together from these different perspectives. I don't think anybody should be expecting that we're going to come up with something so solid that it'll be implemented tomorrow, but we're trying to help just move that conversation along.
Thank you for that. And just give a shout out to Karen and Michelle for getting people to the table for these focus groups. It's not very often we have the kind of unique qualifications and skill sets and resources of a Frank or Michael at our table. And so to have that, you guys and your teams, the more data points we have, the better. And this is exactly what we've been trying to do over and over across the years. We have, we try to gather that information. This is like analytically professionally done. So I'm really excited about it and get everybody involved.
Me too.
Thanks, Tim.
Very
Frank,
excited.
Frank, it just occurred to me, we don't even have, I have a paper version in front of me, but I don't know if this makes sense or not, but since we do have some of the transportation service providers here, and we have about a lot, we have the RTCC gang here. This group on the 21st, which is the one with the transportation service providers, we have a script for our focus group, and we've changed it around from some of the groups that some of you on the call who've been to the previous groups, because we want to get from their perspective. Does it make sense to bounce any of those questions off this group, or just, I know we're going to run by Ali Reza, but, it's not like they have to be a surprise. On the other hand, I don't want to take up time at the meeting if it's not something that.
Well, I alluded already that, we're, looking not only for information about why operations are the way they are, but, what could be done if resources were available, and what are those resources. So we'll be asking questions about in those directions. Again, similarly, we break these up because we want to be able to let folks speak freely. And just knowing that folks have different perspectives in this group, sometimes that leads people, can cause folks to mince their words. But yeah, those are some of the things that we will want to hear about. So if there's providers on here that are planning to attend or aren't, but now have their interest piqued, that's the kind of information that we will be looking to collect. And certainly, folks who are on here, if there are ideas that you have related to that, those questions, you can pass those on through probably through Karen would be the best way to just get that moved on.
Yeah, we're so excited for this opportunity to be working with you, and it's going to propel our gaps issue forward, in that we'll be able to apply for some funding with some real good information. A pilot program is going to come out of this, I hope. And I know Elliot McFadden is right behind us to work with us on this. Ted Nelson, I'm wondering if Ted would be a candidate to be coming to that providers group meeting or not. Being as he works for MnDOT, I don't know. What do you guys think? Maybe.
Well, I know Ted introduced himself. What's his role again?
So I wasn't asking the question of when, where, and what time for myself to attend. More so I could encourage the transit systems to go to it. Just hearing that I think the study would be good, and if they're not at the table, then it's not going to be a complete picture. So I would try to encourage them more. So.
Well, that would be fantastic if you could help us get, especially some of the smaller providers, the NEMT drivers, any taxi drivers to the table. The meeting will be held at the ECRDC office in Mora. I can send you that address. And it's at, oh geez, what time is
10
it?
a.m. 10 a.m.
10 a.m. on the 21st, which is next Thursday. And it runs until
About noon.
noon,
Yeah.
and we will be providing a lunch for everybody who comes.
And appreciate the push, Ted, because I just noticed that Arrowhead and TriCap weren't able to attend today, and they're being at the table to explain to us why they provide the services they do, why they don't provide services that they don't, is critical information. I don't want to get too much into detail, but we've heard from the demand side so far. We'd like to see services like this. Why isn't there services like that? And it's the providers that are the ones that can give answers to that. We need to hear that information.
I agree with you. I just recently went to a summit that we had in another RDC area, and it was interesting. They had a map up on the wall, and the systems went up and did the service area that they covered, but then the people in the area in the audience were like, "What do you mean there's service up here? I don't have service up here." So it was interesting to see like where they were saying there wasn't service, but yet there was service that came through there. It just didn't fit their times is what it boiled down to and stuff like that. But it was just kind of cool to see that. So yeah. No, I will definitely I'll send out an email after this too. Just to encourage. I'll send it out to the other TPM as well. So
Yes, and if you wouldn't mind having them get in touch with me, please.
Well,
yeah, we have 6 people right now. 1 or 2 of those NEMT types would be fantastic. And it's interesting, Ted, because I like that visual graphical mapping way of doing that with supply side, demand side. But in our group so far, one of the things that Frank and I have heard a lot is I didn't know, or who's getting that word out, and how do we communicate in this modern era of, multiple channels, multiple ways of knowing. So that's definitely one of the themes that seems to be emerging on the demand side and on the supply side.
sure. Thank you.
Tammy came on here. Hi, Tammy. I'm gonna throw you right here.
Sorry, we had a little emergency this morning, so I had to take care of that.
Thank you for coming. You want to do a little intro and also add your information into the chat box, but if you could give us a little bit of an update of what's going on over at TriCap.
Yep. So I'm the volunteer driver program manager. Our volunteer driver program now has about 30 volunteers. We're running about 1,300 rides a month. We are working on trying to provide more self-pay rides for people who don't have a funding source to pay for their rides. We had a lot of people call that need to go from rural areas getting into either to a place where they can connect to public transit or that they can get to their appointments, and they just don't have transportation. What we're running into, we're keeping a detailed list of the people who do call us for self-pay rides. It's 89 cents per mile for our program, and it's from our driver's door because they do get mileage reimbursement. And it's just, our number one reason is it's just too expensive. And so what we'd like to do is help subsidize those rides. So if someone calls and say the ride down to the cities is $100, maybe they can cover $40 or $50 of it, that we could cover the rest. So that's one of the projects we're working on right now. But we do, we do our service with our funding sources. So we have the 5 counties, Sherburne, Benton, Morrison, Mille Lacs, and what am I missing? Stearns. And so my own county. So we're still doing that. We have the Blue and Medica. So we do all of our rides for that. But now that we've been increasing our volunteer driver pool, we're able to do even more rides. And so that's why we've been able to do the self-pay rides. When I first started here a couple years ago, we did like 1 a month, maybe 2. And right now we're doing around 20. Doesn't seem like a lot, but that's without any kind of advertising or anything. That's just people just calling us saying, we've heard you have this service, or do you have any way I can get to my appointment? And so we offer up the self-pay ride option. It's still way cheaper than getting any other kind of transportation, especially if you're going like from, say, St. Cloud down to the cities for an appointment. The volunteer drivers then do wait for them. There's no fee for that, so that saves the money right there. But even at that, it's just too expensive for most people. So hopefully we can get something worked out for that.
Doing great things, Tammy. Can you let us know a little bit about how much of this volunteer driver service is being done in Mille Lacs County?
I think I could if I can bring up my, hold on a second.
And then will those drivers come into Kanabec County? Will they go over, I mean, they have to start in your service area, but they can end anywhere.
Actually, we can do out of area service contracts as well. Gosh, every time I do this, it covers you up. And so no, we don't necessarily have to even start in one of our service areas. So we can do an out of service contract, or if one of our counties just has us pick someone up in a different county, that's fine. If they're sending us a ride request, we do it. And
even the self-pay rides?
Yeah, so if we have a driver, so the thing is we need to have a driver that's close by. And so, because it's from the driver's door. And so we are trying to get drivers from all areas. And so, but if we have a driver close enough and, it fits into their budget, yeah, the drivers, if they're willing to go, we'll send them. Okay, and you wanted to know, so we have October here, what?
Yeah.
So Mille Lacs County, we did 62 rides in October. That was down just a couple rides. We don't have as many as like say Morrison, we had 312. So it's not as much as some of our other counties. But it's, it's not like we're turning back rides. That's just all the rides we've gotten from there. We might have to turn back a couple once in a while if we don't have a driver, but so far that's just the amount of rides that we've gotten for that county.
Excellent. I just want to make sure that the Mille Lacs band knows this is available to them,
Oh, yeah.
And it's getting up into Onamia area. Jessica, do you have TRICAP participating in any of your focus group meetings at this point?
I don't think we were saving them to be invited to the provider on the 21st.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
But also I've been chatting with Tammy. Hey, Tammy, too, here and there, and just, trying to, convey some of those needs, from our perspective. And we talk a lot about like the need for reoccurring rides, which can also be tough. Like for our program, kids come 4 to 5 times a week, at set times, but then obviously they're all coming from different places. So just interested in seeing if there's more, drivers in the area in Mille Lacs County. And then anything we can do to try to communicate to our clients, what to do or what to try. I think our scheduler, Brittany, I think she's tried TRICAP a few times, but we just haven't had any matches for, the recurring rides, the area and such. So, but we can keep trying to.
So another thing that's happened is I've moved over underneath Barbara. So she's my director now.
Yay.
And so our volunteer driver program has 3 vans that we've already purchased, we can use. We were trying to get volunteers to drive the vans. We haven't had great luck on that. We've had just a couple people sign up for that because they prefer to use their own car and get the mileage reimbursement. And so far I haven't been able to figure out or make a plan on how I could give some kind of can't call it a stipend, I guess, but some kind of something so that if a person is driving our van, they get a little something for appreciation for doing the ride. And I think I could get drivers then. Most of our drivers are seniors, and they're not looking for much, but just a little something for their time that might help them out with their own bills, groceries, whatever. So if I can get that figured out, if we could figure out a way to actually give them something for their time, even if it's just a nominal amount, I think I'll be able to do that. And then we could use those vans, which would seat 6 people. And I want to use those for self-pay rides too, because a self-pay ride, you pay by the mile. It doesn't matter. You can fill the van up. And so if we went to like assisted living place or a school or whatever, we can put as many people that fit in there, it's be the same cost. So even if we're taking people like down to the cities, if they could piggyback their ride or their appointments, they could divide that. So so many options, so many things in the air trying to work on.
Wow. Gosh, yeah, I wish there was a way. I know there's so many little rules and regulations that just put the kibosh on things.
Yeah, I've talked to other cab agencies, and they are reimbursing drivers that are volunteers using their vehicle, using the agency's vehicle. So they figured out a way to do it. So I'm still working that angle.
You're awesome, Tammy. Thank
I don't give up easy.
Great, good stuff. Great information. Good conversation. Well, we're, kind of getting to the end of our meeting here today. It's 10:14, so that sounds about right. Is there anything anybody would like to bring up, ask question? You got a good group of people here to be able to ask something if you have anything going on in your mind.
Tammy, Thomas put in the chat that he's heard of others doing gift cards as incentives.
Yeah, so I brought that up at the last meeting I had with this, and our person that we have to run this by said that a gift card is the same as cash because they could take it and cash it out for money. So he said that wouldn't work for us. Our new executive director, however, though, is working with me to try to figure out a way that we can to make something work like that. So we just haven't got the final word on what we can do yet.
This may be a strange idea, but when I was working for the chamber, we had something called chamber cash. And you could buy the chamber cash, TriCap would buy the chamber cash and they could spend it at, I know, but then it's only chamber member businesses, but it cannot be used as cash. It's used as money to purchase items, but you don't get cash back.
I was thinking that's been one of my other, if you can't have, if it's going to be cash and they're worried about that, I was thinking maybe partnering like with our Cashwise or a place like that and just say, okay, these drivers do this, and then have like a, I don't know, how you have the bags of food that you can get, like that would have, like they could choose what they wanted to fill that bag up, and then be like, they could actually pick it up and take it home. Then it's like getting, anything, like I tried to make that argument. Anybody could then take that and go sell it if they're really looking for cash, but it's like, no one's going to do that. So we're just I'll figure out something, but yeah, that's a great idea.
All right. And I just want to make sure, is per diem reimbursement allowable for your volunteers? Was a question from Denise.
Yeah, so like our board members, well, they get the stipend, I guess. But yeah, so right now the volunteer drivers, they just get the mileage reimbursement from their home. And so, but everyone does get a 1099 at the end of the year. And so that's the same thing. I was thinking, well, if we did the stipend, or if we did whatever it is, as long as they agree to getting a 1099, I don't know why that's so different. It does, like they tell me, it's tied to wages, which I said, okay, let's just do it this way. If they would volunteer for a 3-hour period using our vehicle, that would be a certain, just say $25 for a 3-hour period. If they came in and they had a ride, and they had one ride, or they had 3 rides, or they came in and their rides, that day happened to call in and cancel, they would just, anytime in that 3-hour period, they do 1 ride, 2 ride, 3 rides, maybe they got all their rides canceled and just went home, they would still get that certain amount of money. So I don't feel like that's tied to wages then. Wages, you're going to pay someone by the hour. I don't know. If anybody's got any other ideas, I will take anything to my next meeting and try to argue my point.
The stipend is taxable income. It definitely will go on your 1099.
Yep.
And there is no withholding or anything with it. And so if they get a lot of stipends, they end up with a tax burden with no withholding for it, is one of the big hiccups and then you've got a secondary thing where if from an administrative law position, if you have a volunteer driver coming in and you call them a volunteer, but you're telling them where to go, what to do, what to drive, and then providing them the vehicle to do that, that's a really gray area between, is this an employee or is this a volunteer? When you're providing them a place to work, telling them what to do, when to do, and where to go, those are 4 really big things that make them look like employees.
Yeah.
Yep. I think though the one main thing is they're like if you're an employee, you usually have hours and you're expected to show up for work, and you usually can't say, oh, no, not that day. I'm not going to come in Tuesday, but I would work Thursday. We're like, that's how our volunteer drivers can, we can call them up and say, yeah, are you available Tuesday? And they can say yes or no. Where if you're an employee, generally you don't get that choice.
Does everyone have any contacts for, a law advisor or someone that can advise on any of this stuff? It'd be really interesting. Part of my cohort that I was in with MnDOT and Elliott McFadden, there was a law information, but it might have been more related to startup businesses, but maybe I'll look into that. I just find it'd be really interesting. I mean, since we're all kind of trying to break down some of these barriers and keep conversations going, it might be helpful to get that perspective too.
I spoke with Tom Gottfried not that long ago at MnDOT about where things were at with Stauber's Tax Appreciation Act, whether or not but that's been buried. And I don't know that it's going anywhere at this point, and it's really frustrating. So the 14 cents a mile, Orion, I don't know if you're aware, and this is one reason why we really need to have some legislative help on this. It's been something we've been battling for years, and volunteer drivers are only allowed 14 cents a mile. You're probably aware. Okay. And so anything above that 14 cents a mile, they have to keep track of. And then once they hit the $600 mark, they have to file a 1099. This law is a federal law. It's been in effect for over 20 years. It hasn't changed. So mileage reimbursement for business mileage changes annually, or even more often than that. This one hasn't ever been looked at. And it's so frustrating because most of our volunteer drivers are seniors and they can't afford to file a 1099. And many of them, because we live in rural areas, have to drive long distances. And so it adds up really fast. And then once they get to $550, they quit. So, yeah, if there's anything we can do or anybody we can talk to or, anyway, it's been a real battle. And MCOTA, which is the Minnesota Council on Transportation Access, and also the Volunteer Driver Coalition, which is a group that I'd love to have you get involved with, has been really working hard. Because it's a federal law, we need to bring in other states, not just Minnesota. We have a lot of folks who want to make this law change who are in Minnesota, but it's going to take the whole country to do it. So.
I was actually going to say, Karen, my first job out of college was working briefly at Arrowhead Transit it was basically a recruitment position for volunteer drivers. So I became intimately familiar with how difficult it is to recruit folks when you've got that kind of mileage reimbursement rate in particular. And we actually also are, Senator Smith and Klobuchar are on the Senate version of that volunteer I forget the name of the bill, Driver Tax Appreciation Act. And we are actually, I'm going to follow up with you after this meeting to discuss. We were interested in doing some kind of meeting with providers in this area, and we're doing similar. I have a colleague who works directly on transportation issues in our state office. And so we've been kind of coordinating, trying to figure out some kind of roundtable or something to hear from providers and maybe work on additional public transit legislation. But I imagine that Volunteer Driver Tax Appreciation Act will be, I imagine it'll be reintroduced in the next Congress. And so then we will sort of continue to work on that. But certainly any input that we can get from folks in this meeting, data, or even just anecdotes about the difficulty in recruiting volunteer drivers, or folks who want to volunteer but can't necessarily afford to do so. Things like that are really important for that process, trying to push that legislation through when you've got so many other federal issues flying around. So we definitely want to continue working on that.
Excellent. Well, Helen, I know you probably have a few things to say about that.
I was just going to let you know, when you talk about the rural drivers and how far they have to go to do this, in the history of Timber Trails, which is long, and even now, most of the volunteer drivers will hit that $600 1099 threshold in January, and all of them hit it by February. So and CACs and other organizations may have a little more leeway when it comes to that administrative law position of, is this an employee or is this a volunteer? What we run into for Timber Trails, we're Kanabec County, and an administrative law judge is not going to give the county any leeway. They're going to say, this is not a volunteer anymore. So there has to be some changes.
Yep. Well, I'm going to be tapping your brain a little bit there, and I think Orion as well will be interested in more information that you hear from your drivers. Those stories are what we need to hear more about, or more from, or more of. Same with you, Tammy. Great. Well, glad everybody had I'm glad to have everybody here. Thank you so much for coming to the meeting. And is there any other thoughts? I will send out the chat to everybody once it gets transcribed, or whatever it is that it does. So you'll have everybody's information. And then I will be putting this meeting video on our website, eastcentraltransit.com. It'll be in the new, where is it? Meetings. Anyway, you'll get it on your Facebook feed. I'm trying to think. Yeah, if you have any questions though that come up in between or anything like that, you know how to reach out to me. So, and to Michelle. I don't want to leave you out, Michelle. You're part of this whole thing too. All right, well, thank you all for coming. And we're right at that 10:27 mark. So it's an hour and a half, but it's what it is. Thank you for coming, and appreciate you all, and be safe out there, drive carefully, and we'll see you and the next meeting is January 9th. So it's 2025. So so I hope everybody can make it to that one, and we'll see you all either before or then. Thank you.
Awesome meeting. Thank you, everyone.